Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of In Conversation with CCW Europe, the podcast series bringing together the leading and brightest minds in the world of customer management from across Europe. I'm Simon Hall, your host and industry analyst at CCW Europe, and today I'm delighted to be joined by three gentlemen who are experts in their respective fields. Naveen, the Senior Vice President and Head of Europe at Sutherland, and Mattias and Andreas, the Head of Customer Engagement and the Head of Digital Customer Service, respectively, at Scandinavian Airlines. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you all?
Thank you, Simon.
Excited.
Excited. Well, I'm excited as well. And to get these podcasts rolling, I always like to start by asking our guests to introduce themselves and give some insights into their professional background and the road they've taken to get to where they are now. So, Naveen, perhaps you can kick us off.
Well, thank you, Simon. So I'm Naveen. I'm at Sutherland. I manage our Europe business. So Sutherland is one of the leaders in delivering digital and business transformation for some of the iconic brands across the world. We've been in business for more than 3 decades. We leverage our core expertise in artificial intelligence, automation, analytics, data. Plus, we also have our own 40-plus platforms that we deploy to drive measurable outcomes for our customers while unlocking their digital performance. So glad to be here along with my SaaS colleagues. SaaS has been a strategic client of us for more than 10 years now. We work very closely with them to deliver superior experiences for their customers. We work on the post-travel journeys, delivering experiences around their claims, their refund processes, and we are also now working on several technological programs that we'll talk about today. So again, thank you so much for the podcast, and over to you, Andreas.
Yeah, I can continue. So I'm Andreas. I started my career in consulting roughly 10 years back. Spent a couple of years doing digitalization projects in different industries. Joined SAS 6 years back and have sort of continued the same journey and has been responsible for the digital customer service team for the last 3 years. So really trying to see what technologies and services that we should provide to our customers.
Great.
Yeah.
Bringing us home.
Hopefully. So my name is Mattias. I am head of customer engagement at SAS. Been with the company or the airline for almost 2 years now. But I've worked for quite a few years in the industry outside of the airline space, though, within the tour operator or travel agency domain. If you were to describe me and Andreas' roles, it can probably be confusing to the outside. It is for ourselves as well sometimes. But you can think of Andreas as we're each other's equivalent within customer service, and then on my side within IT. So we work very, very closely. In fact, we almost more or less share a team together.
Great stuff. Well, 3 fantastic CVs. And so the main theme of the focus of this conversation today is going to be on the multi-year digital transformation journey that Scandinavian Airlines and Sutherland have been on together. And so to set the stage for that, Andreas, Mattias, can you talk to us about some of the challenges that you were facing that led to the partnership? What were some of the areas in which you felt you were falling behind the curve?
Yeah, I think we have a very long partnership with Sutherland, like you said, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But if we're going to try to zoom in on where we are right now, I would say we're in the airline industry. We are very exposed to the outline, to all the external factors, especially affected by everything that happened in COVID and everything that followed. For us, it's meaning complete change of customer base in a way. We have been serving the frequent travelers. We are trying to be the leading airline in Scandinavia, but now we see a big shift in business travel, of course.
Yeah.
Leisure is picking up. So we are, at least from the customer service side, we are serving a total new target group with very different needs. That's kind of on the external side. Then we also have internal challenges. Some of you may have noticed that we have been part of a Chapter 11 process. We are finally soon emerging from that, but that kind of puts extra pressure on the digitalization journey that we have been on. And we really need to start realizing that.
Absolutely. And I think also, just to add a bit more of a context to us as an airline, I think we, when you look at the CX journey for us as well and sort of the customer experience side, I think we're in a fairly unique industry in the fact that, you know, it's such a long life cycle of the product. You typically buy your, you know, if you're going to go out traveling, you buy that far out in advance.
Right.
There's all sorts of things that can happen in between.
Sure.
There's a lot of complexity in the product and the offering that we are giving out to our customers as well. And I think also what is maybe a bit unique, we talked about that actually traveling here today. It's a bit unique as well in the fact that there's so much in the journey itself that will end up falling on us as an airline, but not necessarily within our responsibility as well. It's the entire journey. You're going through security, you're checking in, you're doing, you're maybe flying from a destination where, you know, a particular airport or a service is maybe, you know, it's not within our control always.
Yeah.
But of course, we are the final. We're finally responsible for that journey with our customers as well. So it's I think it's pretty interesting. I think we're relatively unique in that sense in the travel domain.
But if I'm going to connect it back to the partnership we have with Sutherland, we have been running, you know, we have been rigged, so to say, for very smooth operations.
Yeah.
You know, less than 1% is where things doesn't go according to plans. But then during COVID, you kind of flip the coin.
Yeah.
Like 99% of everything didn't work out.
Sure.
And that puts huge stress on the, so to say, post-travel part in our world. And that is where Sutherland has really helped us, being very flexible, and
Absolutely.
scalable. So
And also, Andreas, in my view, because as you rightly said, the segmentation and the customer segment itself is changing. And when you have a business travelers, the post-travel is not that big of an issue, because when you are flying on business, even if there is slightly delay, you don't really go back to the airlines. But as your mix is changing dramatically and more people are getting conscious about the money that they spend, it is putting a lot of pressure on the post-travel experiences as well. And that we are seeing, as you said, COVID added to that. And then we've had multiple disruptions in the region with the strike. So that has dramatically changed the way the volumes and the load that is now coming on the post-travel. And that is becoming a very important factor for the holiday travelers to consider before they book with SAS or any other airline. So it has become a important facet to improve. And that is where we are partnering with SAS to see how we can not only improve the experience, but drive a lot of automation intelligence into it so that the journey and the post-travel experiences become very smooth. So, you know, a good point. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
We're bringing it back to the digital transformation. And I think any successful digital transformation typically comes down to three components, right? The people driving it, the technology behind it, and the processes that underpin it. So if we break down each of those, beginning with the people, as a company with a long and storied history, you know, what are some of the steps you're taking to inspire and deliver digital culture change across your organization? How are you bringing your people on board and getting the buy-in you need from all the relevant stakeholders? Andreas or Mattias?
Yeah, I can start. I mean, if you look at the sort of the transformation process coming from all the way above, of course, there's an expectation, right, from the top leadership that it's going to, you know, end up, you know, paying off, of course, for us as a company. But when you bring it down to for us as a team, I think we are very much in control of what we're actually doing, what we're leading, and how we're sort of attacking those topics ourselves. I think almost coming back to a little bit on the COVID topic, I think especially talking about people, I think that's has been a struggle for us, to be honest. I think it has been hard to sort of rebuild the competence and figuring out what to do going forward. I think for us as an airline as well, I think we've had the tendency of maybe outsourcing a lot of the IT side, maybe to a larger degree than maybe we should have.
Yeah.
We've been trying to rebuild sort of the core competence within the organization to drive those topics. But I think also coming back to like how we get stakeholder buy-in, I think what we do as a joint sort of cross-functional team, we don't really have that problem, to be honest. We are very much in control of the sort of list of priorities and how we work, and that comes down to how we organize ourselves. And I think that could be a good learning, because I think we actually mitigate a lot of the friction that can happen between IT and say more of the business side, being customer service in this case, since we are sort of embedded within our team. So we have, for example, we have product owners, we have testing resources, we have a large dedication actually on customer service and within IT as well. So it's kind of like, I think if you were to look at us as a team from the outside, you probably couldn't tell who is actually sort of employed by IT and who's employed by customer service.
And I think I call all of them my team, and you do the same.
Yeah, and typically when things don't go that well, then I say it's on,
That's it.
on customer
Yeah.
service.
But I think one thing just to highlight as well, we are a company with a long history, a proud company, and we have amazing colleagues who have been, with us for a very long time. But there's been a huge shift in the way we try to run operations. We want to try new things. We need to try new things. So the pace has gone up rapidly. And one way we have tried to tackle is that we have actually tried to mimic how regular IT agile things are run. So within customer service, the business side, we organize ourselves as well within 3 cross-functional teams, and we run the sprints, we run the planning. So we try to follow the pattern that our digital teams do. And I think that has also helped, shaping a new culture on that we constantly have iterations and new things. Because that is, to be honest, very challenging within customer service operations. We have agents who need to spend all their time helping our customers, solving their problems, and then us trying to, tweak processes and adapt systems in the same time, which is kind of, it can easily create friction. So
I'll pick up on the process piece in a minute, but first I want to ask you about the technological considerations you have specific to improving customer-facing applications. And what solutions are you using, or what proofs of concept do you currently have in flight, pun intended, geared toward moving the needle on customer care, customer service?
We actually have a lot of things.
Yeah, I think we do. Yeah.
I think
well, let's unpack them.
Yeah, but I think one thing that we have been very proud of is we have launched a new app like a year ago. I should know this exactly. That really tried to put customer centricity to its core. The next obvious step, currently we are trying to take all the learnings from there and move it into a new SaaS web page. Really working with personalisation. As we said, we have a very shift in the customer base, and they have very different needs. So how can we adapt to that and present the right things to the right customers? So that is going to be one key thing. And then in our domain, we have lots.
Yeah, we
lots
do
of things ongoing.
No, I mean, attesting to what you said, Andreas, I think just the fact that our customer base has shifted from us as an airline being very focused on our frequent traveler as the business traveler. Now we're kind of unpacking, and I think it's a wider variety of customers. It's actually, they're finding us. And I think if you look at some of the customer-facing things that we've done within our realm, of course we spent a lot of self-service for us is, of course, it's a big goal for us in general. We think it's a win-win. Of course, for us as an airline, it's a win if customers don't need to contact us, obviously. But we do think that that's also the case for the customer, that they don't necessarily want to spend time on the phone with us. So we're spending a lot of time and effort on that side of the business. And some of the things we're working on right now is piloting a new chatbot solution that we are very much, we're very excited about.
Yeah, looking forward to
yeah,
that.
we are. We were pretty early on, I would say, in the chatbot space as well. I think that was before my time, but I think we already had our sort of first iteration of a chatbot in 2019. And now we're really keen on seeing the generational steps that's occurred since then.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting space in the last year.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, another area that we have been maybe not falling behind, but at least within customer service, we were kind of late on the ball, working with A/B testing and really looking into the customer behavior on the site. So that is something we have tried to strengthen lately. It's also very interesting because we operate mainly 23 markets. The vast majority within Scandinavia, roughly 70%.
Yeah.
But just within Scandinavia, you think people work the same, but we tend to see 70 to 80% of the Swedes and Norwegians, they at least try to initiate the contact with us through chat, while it's down to 15% with Danish people. They just want to pick up the
phone.
Yeah. And when you look at how they browse our services, they can spend up to like 2 minutes on FAQs, while here in UK it's like 30 seconds. So it's trying to see and put all of that together when you're making this experience that previously were more one size fits all, and now we start looking at the personalization
more
piece.
Yeah. Great. Naveen, anything to add in terms of technology?
So I think absolutely. Primarily, what we are doing for SaaS is in 4 groups, as I can call them. But before that, we are a strong heritage on the digital technologies. So one other thing which is very exciting, as Andreas said, the pace of change and also acceptance of new technologies has become very open at SaaS. So what we are doing, our teams are doing, is to first incubate some of the ideas within ourselves based on our knowledge, working with them, and then bringing some of those proof of concepts to SaaS. So 4 areas are very exciting for us, as just continuing the theme that Andreas Mattias has said. One is around leveraging generative AI technologies to deliver the information in the right way to the right customers. So today, a lot of the customers, as correctly said, go to the website, try to find the answers they couldn't find, and then they call. So the generative AI allows us to give the answers in a very natural language to their customers, and they can interface in a very ChatGPT type environment. So that's one area of huge importance. We are doing some studies and pilots and how this can work. But it'll be fully trained on SaaS knowledge base, so it will not be a data that is coming from the generic internet, but it's very focused around SaaS and SaaS-related queries. So that's one area. The second is in the area of automation, again, leveraging a lot of AI as a foundational element to automate some of the core processes, as we spoke about the post-travel processes, and that's where a lot of focus is going. So we are doing multiple pilots, proof of concepts, to actually see what will be the right experience for our customers when they, for example, raise a claim against SaaS or apply for a refund, and so on and so forth. The third area is, as you said, there are 23 markets that they serve, multiple languages that they serve. How can we leverage, again, our translation platforms, which are, again, generative AI infused, to sit behind some of the front-end digital channels like chatbot, or even non-real-time interactions like emails, and how we can then support all these different languages and interactions using translation technology, but can be handled by a common group of center of excellences wherever based in the world. So the language becomes not a barrier now, right? So, and that is where you see a lot of the recent advances built in OpenAI, have been geared towards, right? So that's the third area, and the fourth is actually looking at the behavior so we have our own Sutherland labs that are excelling, and they do a lot of work around behavioral science, looking at user experiences, differences in cultures by countries, by journeys, and that's where we hosted you guys at the labs. And so that's the fourth area where we are working on seeing how we can help SaaS to drive some of the nuances in customer behavior, and then bring those nuggets back so that the technology becomes even more personalized, right? So those are the 4 big areas where we are working together on doing some pilots. But yeah, as a company, we work with more than 200 brands, and there are a lot of digital native companies in those groups. And the way they are driving technology, we are trying to bring those ideas, best practices back to SaaS. So yeah, that's what we are doing. So very exciting times.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think just the fact that we're here talking about AI here, I think it's nice to see that it's actually a concept or something that creates value, and it's really catching on in such relatively short amount of time. Right. I mean, there's been a lot of, every few years there's a new buzzword, right? But I think for us also, when it comes to the generative side, and we're a pretty small team, relatively small, not that small of an airline, but we're a relatively small team, and especially if you look at the content side, we do cater to a lot of markets, right, actually, and obviously we're based in Scandinavia, so we're typically not going to be native speakers in a lot of those countries,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I think we're already seeing a huge benefit in where we are even today,
Yes.
as far as the content side.
That's great. And can you elaborate on the data piece within this larger digital transformation project? You've touched upon it quite a few times there, like personalization and segmentation. What work are you doing on the data front to drive tactics like enhanced segmentation or enhanced personalization? Andreas, I'll come back to you.
Like we're an airline, like you started off, we have a very long journey from when you buy a product from us until we deliver it. And obviously along the touch points, we get a lot of data about you.
Yeah.
So we have for but kind of a long time, we have started to collect data that is useful, but we haven't really been able to kind of make actions out of them.
Yeah.
Up until kind of recently, I would say, really trying to put all the data to its full potential. We see a lot of internal departments reaching out. They want to know more, obviously, because we are the voice of the customer. We're also trying to steer and gear all our development efforts based on data.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, actually.
But I think to be honest, we have been a bit behind, at least within our domain.
Yeah.
I know other parts of our company is great. But we're currently in the middle of trying to put up a kind of a real-time dashboard thing that our development teams can follow and see that every release we do, are they targeting the kind of the leading stars and the metrics we have set up.
Okay.
So,
That's great.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. I mean, within our team, or our little small universe within customer service, we are actually in control of not only the website and the sort of the chatbot experience and sort of the self-service flows online. But since we also handle like the agent experience on the back end, when you call in, for example, we collect a huge amount of data. Like why are Simon? Why are you calling us?
Yeah.
What's your how long did it take to help you? And how did you navigate? Well, not you personally, but how are our customers navigated on our website, and how can we sort of tie that all together and then try to feed that back into our teams that actually sit in this on a daily basis and try to figure out like where are our customer pains and how can we address that best? Does it make sense to put that in on the website, for example? Does it make sense to put that perhaps in the chatbot, or can we solve it in a better way when you call in, for example, in the IVR, for example? So I think we have lots of work ahead of us, but I think we've actively started working on this not so long ago. So I think if we'll come back here in a year from now, I think we'll be in a better spot.
Yeah.
And I think a hugely important part is bringing all the data together and present it to our agents.
Yeah.
For instance, where Sutherland help us out a lot around the post-travel journey, they need to understand exactly what has happened, who was responsible for what, and how should they handle the customer in the best possible way according to all the rules.
Yeah.
And trying to get that picture. So we most likely have the data somewhere where they currently have been in a great need of picking it from different sources. So that is something also, just putting it together and present it.
That's it. Naveen, Mattias, how are you helping them extract the value in the post journey?
I think we are probably at the initial stages. But one other thing I'm also, and we are working with a lot of our clients, is to look at the broader data governance. So, one of the area which obviously you spoke about, how to gather insights, how to make data work for you, work for your customers. But because now we are going to introduce a lot more generative AI technologies into SaaS ecosystem, it is also very important that we drive a very strategic data governance program. Gen AI or LLMs create their own data issues. So, you can get hallucinations. There are biases. Wrong data can be interpreted. So those are the things that we will be working with SaaS team as we start training our engines, especially the knowledge management platforms, translation platforms, to make sure that those Gen AI models are being trained properly is also another area for us to work together. But as you said, we are early days. This is a topic that, as you know, is also evolving very fast in the marketplace. So yeah, I think data has many facets. Important aspect not only to drive data which is not just focus on the customer but focus on the family or the entire unit, and that is another facet we are going to work together. Our labs actually work on things which are implicit data, not a direct data. So Simon booking a ticket, Simon claiming a refund is not Simon. There is an entire family or a unit behind Simon. So understanding that behavioral aspect, which is the intangibles, is also very, very important. So those are the areas, in addition to what you guys said, I think will be a focus going forward as we start rolling out some of these proof of concepts.
Absolutely.
And pivoting now onto the processes that you're adopting to drive this transformation, across all the sort of individual micro changes that you're implementing, what techniques are you using to ensure that your teams are making decisions that always point towards your digital transformation North Star? Mattias,
yeah, I mean, I think we briefly touched upon it actually in the previous topic on the data topic.
Yeah.
I mean, that is going to be our North Star for quite some time, to be honest. I think the overall ambition is of course to justify any type of development that we're working on. It should be anchored in the data that we're seeing and we're collecting from all those various channels. So I think coming back to the ambition of that whole initiative, definitely is to make sure that we're anchoring every sort of ticket on the Jira board, or every type of like case that we end up working on, that it should be should be based on the data that we're seeing.
Yeah.
So I think that is our leading star, if anything, at the moment.
Okay, great.
And I think touching more upon on the individual and employee level.
Yeah.
I think the fundamental part for us is the organizational way on the cross-functional teams we have been set up.
Yeah.
Really trying to put something big into smaller pieces.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier to communicate and really it's graspable.
Yeah.
And especially I think we touched upon it as well in the beginning. In the operational world, it's difficult to spend too much time on looking ahead at the big vision.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more tangible to like break it up step by step.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
think, yeah.
Okay.
So cross-functional, things one. The way we handle digital development, like we are in one united team. Everybody should look at the same kind of dashboard data. Where are we heading?
Yeah.
So everybody has the same picture, so to say.
Okay.
I'm most likely missing a lot, but
I think one of the things you were mentioning to me is the process around transformation metrics that you are creating, which is going to your management on the automation index, on some of those things are also you're bringing into as part of the part of the process.
I mean, an old saying, what you measure is what you get, right?
Yeah.
So trying to rethink the key metrics. One thing that we are working extremely intensively with now is, first contact resolution. How can we make sure that whenever you're contacting us, you will get an answer to your question? We will solve the case. And how do you put that into a metric and all the metrics that is needed to kind of lift that up? Switching from maybe more traditional ones where you're chasing cost cuttings or efficiency gains, you still need them, but combining them in a good sense with the quality metrics.
Yeah. Well, you teed up my next question
Okay.
perfectly
Yeah,
there,
okay.
which is, you've got all the components in place, you're moving forward, you're establishing change. How are you going about measuring your progress and showcasing, the real, tangible, quantitative outcomes?
I think that's exactly
Is that the one?
Yeah.
where we are. Some of the metrics is very straightforward, and we have in place. I would say we're now trying to focus more about the quality and how we can measure it in a good way. I know we have been in dialogue and discussions on how to really track it in a tangible and sustainable way.
Yeah.
It needs to be consistent every time.
Absolutely. I mean, we're also tracking, the sort of the self-service success over time. So we're trying to follow human interactions over time to see like how many times does actually our customer need to contact a physical, human agent on our side, and what is the impact of that? So I think there's we have a lot more work to do there, to be honest. I think it is one of the areas that we have highlighted also to our management that we need to get better at, for sure.
Well, it's a never-ending job anyway.
It is, it is.
Yeah. And given everything we've talked about there, we've talked about AI, but we've also even talked about the importance of personalization and segmentation. How are you striking the balance between automation and the human element of your customer service?
$1
Who
million.
wants to take it?
I mean, we're almost. I think there's at least a couple of sides of this. I think what we're seeing is that there's a strong preference for like text-based communication, from what we can tell from the customer interaction on our website.
Yeah.
So at that level, we're almost thinking, does it really matter? Doesn't matter if a customer thinks that they're speaking to, Simon the agent, or Simon the chatbot. And probably, if within our domain, we're talking customer service, probably doesn't really matter if you're already in that channel of using text-based dialogue.
Yeah.
So maybe it's more on those occasions where it's a fairly, it's a complicated product that we're offering. So of course, it's always going to be the need to call someone to get help with your, the pet that you want to fly with a pet, or you have some instrument, or there are all these outliers that are typically what takes up most of our time. So I don't know. We have to strike that balance, I think. But
I mean, you're really getting the human touch when you meet our staff on the ground, in the gate, in the aircrafts, when you call us. But somewhere in between there, I think what we see or have indications of is that the one most important thing is that the topic is solved. Doesn't really matter who solved it. I rather do it myself, or through a service, or in some other way. But yeah, I think it's a question you can
debate over.
Debate over for a long time. Can keep you sleepless, but it can also be straightforward, I think.
But I also feel it's a function of three things in my mind. One, how proactive you are as a company, SaaS. So if you are proactive enough by data, by having digital tools in place, so that you solve the need before the customer really wants to call us, then there is no difference in experience whether a machine does it or a human does it. So that's number one. And it is not applicable to all processes, but it is applicable to a lot of processes, especially after you book the ticket. And then if you can drive the proactiveness by understanding the data, where you are in that moment, and giving the right information. So that's number one. Number two is the function of the technology itself. I think we are seeing the technology getting mature very quickly. There will be a time when it will be very hard to find the difference between a human and a machine. And at that point, and it is not very far into the future, Simon, I think it's a 12 to 18 months time, then it'll be very, whether you talk to Simon, who's actually an avatar, or a Simon, a human, I think, it'll not make a difference. And that's the second part. And the third is actually, which we are together now exploring, is the segmentation challenge. So I think that's where I think if SaaS and us and any airline can fine-tune the segmentation and attack that segmentation needs in the right way, then you can drive a lot of self-service or human less and machine more interactions, right? So again, segmentation is a big component of it. Technology maturity, which is going to become more and more, and obviously the proactiveness. So I think if those three elements get together in the right way, then I think the question becomes a little bit of a moot question. So I think we are all working towards that. There are small pilots happening, but hopefully in 12 to 18 months, I think the question will become slightly irrelevant, whether a human interacts or a machine interacts at the pace that we are seeing. At least I'm personally seeing the technology evolving. I don't know what's your view of that.
No, I agree absolutely. I think at the very least, also for us as a team that is handling also the tool set that our agents are using at the back end. I think part of our response is to make sure that that tool set is also optimized and effective.
Right.
So when they do have the need to call in about their violin or whatever it could be, that we can help our customers in the fastest manner possible. I think that's
And I think one of our top priorities maybe is mainly put an agent for our agents to start with. The safest way, and also for us to try out the technology and making sure that it works.
Yes.
And then 12 months from where we are now, maybe it's as mature as we can just switch.
Well, final question then. Fast forwarding 12 months, what does success look like for you 1 year on? What are your goals over the next 1 year or so? a lot of goals by the sounds of it.
Only professional goals.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of change happening also for us as a company. We're moving into a new alliance as well. So there's obviously those pieces that need to be figured out, which is there's a lot of work on the IT side and also on the commercial side for an airline like us, changing from one alliance to another.
Yep.
I think for us as a team, of course, we are hoping to be able to drive a lot more of our agenda using data-based decisions. I think that's really what we want to be, or where we want to be in about a year from now, at the very least. So I think that would be a big win for us. Just that.
Yeah, and we have a multi-year transformation program. It's more or less 3 different journeys. The first one is around self-service. So I would say hopefully we can sit, if we're invited back at some point in time. Hopefully we have deflected or transferred maybe 20% in a year from current interactions to self-service. Then a huge part around agent effectiveness. So the agents for the agents, so to say. And we have indications and thoughts. I'm not sure if I want to
disclose.
Put it out there. But I think that is a huge area of improvement for us. And then lastly, our strong efforts around the post-travel area. We know that if we don't handle it well, that really affects the perception of SES, where we together with Sutherland and ourselves are trying to utilize a lot of different tools and technologies to kind of enhance that journey.
Naveen, final words then. You've been teed up.
No, I think I echo both Mattias and Andreas' views. For me personally, I would like in 12 months the relationship has become even more stronger. We continue to deliver value, but more importantly, at least deliver one production grade program that has gone in and delivering value to the customers. And that customers is a broader segment of customer. It can be agents or it can be the end customers. We are working on several pilots. So my personal wish is to drive one to fruition, roll it out, and then continue to work on other programs. So yeah, you're right. There are multiple projects and ideas in flight. Now it's a matter of turning them into reality. And this is what we are seeing with a lot of our clients as well. Everybody is doing testing and proof of concepts. And I think this year will be a year of driving one to execution, where you can sit back and say, yes, this journey is automated. We have delivered AI. We have delivered intelligence into it. And there's a positive feedback coming. So that's my goal, hopefully. Yes.
Gentlemen, great way to finish. We'll have to get you back on in a year or so's time to see where you're at. But thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us a helicopter view of the journey that you're on together. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
And I appreciate both of you coming down, especially from Stockholm today, to have this podcast. So thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Great. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Simon.
So that brings to a close this episode of In Conversation with CCW Europe. But please do stick around on the CCW Europe website and social media channels, where you can find so much great content related to the customer experience and customer management. Thank you so much again to Naveen, Mattias, and Andreas for joining me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, goodbye.